There's nothing like trying to talk over a bunch of people having a wonderful fish dish. So we had to make sure we got the right setting, the right timing here, but I think that the things that we're going to be talking about here today are going to be just really spot on with the themes that we've been covering over the course of the time here. So I'm an outsider. I'm coming here from the States. I arrived on Tuesday, so if I fall asleep at some point on stage, you can blame jet lag for that. But it's a real honor to be here. I have felt incredibly welcomed by my colleagues here, Angel, and the entire group. Just really grateful to be here. And so, again, thank you for your time here. Just a quick note here. The two of us are connected in some ways through our connection with one of these sponsoring organizations, right? Hong Kong Academy for Wealth Legacy. I had to make sure I get this right. But I was here yesterday working with about 20 or so families, family offices, really thinking about philanthropic strategy. And what we have with Raymond is also involvement in that similar sort of organization as well. And so what I'd love to do to kind of kick us off here is to highlight what you just heard from the secretary. And in particular, one of these themes is to say, how do we take this opportunity that we're all are at and find ways to kind of move in the direction of impact directly through investment, impact through philanthropy. And so I'd like to start with that question, Raymond, that for you, when you think about where you landed on where this space for impact emerged, we'll get into football in a bit, but where that came from for you, where it started.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Angel inviting me. I'm 64 years old now. I remember I read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People when I was at my early 40s. And the second habit actually begins with the end in mind, asked me to imagine I would attend my own funeral. So I started to imagine what would people talk about me at my funeral. So what kind of legacy would I like to leave? What's the purpose of my life? Very, very fortunate that football impacted my life in a very, very meaningful way. I built my friendship with my son. He plays football with me since 12, and in fact, I played football with him 2 days ago. I'm still playing football with him. I owe my health to football. I weighed over 200 pounds when I was 38, and then I went back to play football. I stopped playing golf. And when I came back to Hong Kong at the age of 27, after spending 8 years in Guam and Saipan, all my customers, they are MBA this, MBA that. I graduated from University of Guam, and I said that, how do I learn management? I learned from Alex Ferguson. So from that point onward, I make up my mind that I would like to use football to impact people's life in whatever way that he wants me to do. So that's how I started my football journey.
So one of the connections that I had to some of this work is actually a St. Louis connection. So Washington University in St. Louis is my home institution. And one of the families that's based there also has a significant amount of interest in football. It's the Taylor family. So if you've ever had an enterprise rent-a-car or the like, the Taylors own that. And in the last couple of years, they've purchased an MLS club, built out a stadium, and then done a number of specific initiatives around the football and youth empowerment to be able to drive it. So I was sharing the note with Andy Taylor and Carolyn Kindle the other day of the work that you've been doing. And I wonder if you can share a bit of how football has that kind of impact. So in other words, when you came in here and said, I want to use football in a certain way, how did that play out for you?
Well, I never realized that when I started this about 20 years ago, it was like a startup. So I went from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, and 10 to 100. Fast forward, my football journey, at this moment, I have 5 different establishments, Hong Kong, Philippines, Cambodia, Saipan, and China, my father's hometown, Quanzhou, Fujian. I really started just with a passion, just like any startup. When you look at the founder, always started trying to solve a problem with a passion. And I started without knowing where I would end up, just like many startups. But I have to say that the passion from me and the passion from the team I built create that huge impact that I could not imagine. I make this garment, so I'm an OEM, okay? I have factories in Southeast Asia, and I spend about 5 to 10% with my charity work, very, very little time. But I have to say that every single location of my operation delivers something that is beyond my own imagination. And my own conclusion is that and for those of you who are the next generation, by the way, I'm the second generation. My father is the first. Obviously, he's Dr. Tan Siu Lin, and I started with this passion because football meant a lot to me. And having said that, I would give you a few examples of how football impact different community in different countries. In Hong Kong, we now serve over 1,000 retirees, age 55 and above. They come out once a week to play football. My oldest student is a 92-year-old man. My oldest lady is an 89-year-old woman.
You should see the moves, too. It's just unbelievably fast agility along the side, too. Faster than mine, I'm sure.
Well, yeah. But then I still remember earlier this year, I attended our annual dinner lunch. A couple came up to me and say, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Tan. I'm crazy about football. My wife never understood me." And at the age of 70, he invited his wife to go play football with him. So every week, they go and play football together. We also serve over 300 special needs children, adult, both physical, mental handicap. And especially in today's environment, there's more and more requirement on the mental side. And we service over 300 marginalized children after school, and we also have 300 elite players. And by the way, my female program is one of the best in Hong Kong. We are now, we finished number 2 for the last 2 seasons. We lost to Kichi twice, and we're determined to become champion this season, okay? And we have a youth program until adult. For male, many of you probably remember 2 years ago, Hong Kong made it to the semifinal in the Asian game. I'm very proud to say that 10 of the players came from my organization. So in Hong Kong, we did a lot, but then I'll go to the Philippines. I'm the chairman of a foundation called the Luen Foundation, whereas we serve over 1,000 street kids before pandemic. During pandemic, 200 of them got locked inside the center, and then we trained them to play football since 12 years ago. Now, many of you probably don't know that the first FIFA Women's Futsal World Cup will be held in the Philippines this coming November. And 2 of my girls will be playing World Cup. I started 12 years ago without knowing that they'll be playing at the World Cup. I have a few of them playing in the youth national team, and I have also our men's team playing in the national team. The lesson that I learned from children, I learned from street kids. You give them a platform. And I did not go and select the best. I still remember my captain now, the men's team captain, when I met him 10 years ago, I kicked the ball to him, he fell because he was only 22 kgs. And he's now, I think he became the national team player at the age of 17. Now, whether you're in the Philippines or wherever you go, when you see a marginalized community, if you give them the right platform and you give them the right program, you could not imagine how they could become so successful. In Cambodia, we partner with another NGO, which is service over 100 sexually assaulted girls Very sad, but very proud. We train about 30 of them now, trying to train some of them to become national team players. In Saipan, actually, my twin brother is the NMIFA president, so we help him to train their national team players. And after I went to 4 countries, everyone asked me, Raymond, you're Chinese, how come you don't go to China? I said, I don't know how to get back to China without the right, partner or program. So, and because of him, he actually arranged for me to get back to my hometown, my father's hometown, Quanzhou, Fujian. And I started 3 years ago. So we are now in 7 elementary school and 2 high school and 1 special needs school. It's incredible, my journey for the last 20 years. But I have to say that I think I always tell, and I will share this with all the young generation over here. If you were to start a charity work, be prepared to make lifetime commitment. If you don't want to make a lifetime commitment, you just vet a project and then go support that project. And not only you want to have a lifetime commitment, you want to build a team with lifetime commitment. I can assure you that you can interview any of my key management team. Every one of them, I ask them, are you ready to make the lifetime commitment with me? If not, don't come in. You have to make that lifetime commitment because you cannot help someone and then stop. Then you might as well don't start.
One of the things that I think / hope that you're hearing here is there's a certain kind of business model behind this that actually kind of sits somewhere between a traditional business and a philanthropic pursuit. Same is true in the work that I saw in St. Louis. So if you were to chat with John Thie, who heads up the Taylor Family Office, and if you were to say this whole social or the MLS club and the work you do in the community, is it a true investment? Well, not quite. Is it true philanthropy? Well, not quite. It kind of sits between there. And here it's somewhat true as well, right? It's not that everyone's getting free services. You have some amazing players that maybe are coming from families of different means as well. What's the business model behind it? How many people are paying for these services? How many of them are getting it for free?
Well, because I'm a businessman, right? So when I enter into anything, I think like a businessman. I run an organization of 30,000 people in different countries. So, of course, you always have to think about strategy is a balance, it's an artful balance of ends and means. So you have to think about what are the means that you have and what end do you want to achieve. So in Hong Kong, I have this, the Chinese term, 劫富濟貧. So I have, at the peak, I have 1,000 students who pay. And then I hire over 30 professional, ex-professional players to become our coach. And very, very, very well known. Sando Si, Chen Fa Ji, it's like a who's who in the football community. And I'm very proud that I can extend their professional life. But then with what I do, because I'm a business person, I understand that quality of service is so important. And that's why there are 2 philosophies when I do charity work. I say, number 1, lifetime commitment. Number 2 is a concept called Q square, quality times quantity. I always put quality ahead. And look, I find that many projects, it's too focused on quantifiable KPI. I would prefer to quantify quality and look at a quantifiable quality KPI first before you talk about quantifiable quantity KPI. Because if you want to provide the right service to the recipient, you have to treat them as your customer. I tell my team member, every single street child is our customer. But if you think that you help, then you won't give the right service because you think you help. But if you look at them as a customer, it's very, very different. So you have to ask yourself, how do you please your customer? What kind of service do you want to give them? Another concept of mine, which I know annoy a lot of people, I'm not a believer in volunteers. Look, the problem with volunteers, they're all bosses, right? They say, I volunteer. So how do I control them? I cannot have a business that is run by people who don't get paid. Right, if you think about that. And there's a Chinese saying, 修身齊家治國平天下, which means that you first have to internalize your own core value and be a nice person, be an organization full of that kind of human beings. But then you have to make sure that they can take care of their family. You have to pay them. You have to pay them a reasonable wage so that they have no worry to do what they love to do together with the team. Then after that, everything becomes easy. Why do I spend only 5 to 10% of my time? Because I make it very simple. I'm passionate with the project. I build a team who's as committed as me, or even more committed than me, in terms of their lifetime commitment. And I give them the right environment so that they don't have to worry about their family and they can just service their customer with their heart. It's as simple as that. Don't make it too complicated. That's my message to those of you who want to get involved supporting, helping communities.
And one of the things that I've found with a lot of entrepreneurs, founders, business owners is that they actually love business. So they love building things. They love creating a customer. They love coming up with the solution to that customer that they actually desire. And then they go into philanthropic work, and it's a mechanism that they sometimes don't feel as energized by. And so to be able to say, here's a problem, and here's a solution, for you, then the next question is then saying, what's the best way to address it, right? Could be in a traditional business at times, right? Impact investing. Could be in more of a philanthropic structure. Could be a structure like this with a mix of paying players and free players along the way. So it's a nice way of saying, let's start first with the problem, and then let's come up with a mechanism that we actually think addresses it well.
Well, look, I think every one of you over here will all dress very well, so I'm sure that you know we're reasonable well off being in this room. So our financial bank account should be okay. I want to talk about our emotional bank account. Look, money is important. Money cannot buy happiness and joy, trust me. Okay, if you want to have a sustainable joy inside your heart. And so with the wealth that we have, whether it's we built on our own or it's given by our previous generation, I think we are all very, very fortunate in a position whereas we can enrich ourselves with our emotional bank account by sharing. Before lunch, I was talking to Peter. The Luen Foundation founder, Father Rocky, once told me a story. You are the prisoner of your own 4 wars. Which 4 wars? War of wealth, war of health, war of knowledge, and war of power. And so everyone wants to build that war higher and higher and higher because you want to have more money, more health, more power, and more knowledge. Nothing is wrong with that. However, you trap yourself into the 4 war. You can't get out, and you just want more and more. And then the more you want, the more unhappy you are because you start to compare with other people's war. And how do you turn that into joy, into true happiness? Sharing. Bring down the wall. You share your wealth, you share your health, you share your knowledge, you share your power. And all of a sudden, of course, being a Christian, then I start to imagine that I'm standing at the middle of the cross. And the cross can become bigger and bigger because, I don't plan to retire. I'm 64, by the way, okay? And I just want to make more money. I don't see anything wrong with me trying to make more money. I'm still very healthy. I play football twice a week, 60 to 90 minutes. by the way, I torn my ACL 12 years ago. I lost 1/3 of my meniscus and I torn partially my MCL. But football gave me back my health. So I want to share my health with my family. And the gift that I'm going to give to my loved one is my health. And then, of course, you have to share your power, you share your knowledge. And so nothing is wrong with having money. More important is, what do you do with your money that you can turn your financial bank account into emotional bank account so that, you know, you might think that you give. I can assure you that you receive a lot more than you give. Every time I go to Luen Foundation, the street kids come up to me, they give me their blessing. That's the best joy I have in my life. And I encourage you to share more, and you will build up your emotional bank account. Don't be too focused with your financial bank account, because there is a limit. After that limit, we're all the same. We're going to eat 3 meals a day. We're going to sleep, okay? And one day we'll be 6 feet under, and we're not going to bring that with us.
Yeah, it's one of the things that's kind of intriguing to think about cities from a competitive standpoint, right? So there's a lot of talk about what allows you all to be the preeminent place to be able to land a family office. I spent a lot of times in US cities, European cities, other Asian cities. But imagine if you showed up here in Hong Kong and you said, both A, the tax structure is really favorable, and the community is really good, but the work that people are doing is really intriguing, both in terms of in venture and private equity and investments, but also in the impact work, the philanthropic work. If you were to imagine coming to Hong Kong as a new family office and saying, wow, something's different here in the water. Something about the way that I'm spending time with folks like Raymond and others is showing me that there's something kind of intriguing there. That is actually a competitive advantage when you're looking at 2 markets with the exact same tax structure that can get the exact same entrance into the Asian market. Right, so it's an interesting thing to think about from a competitive standpoint as well. I want to end with one final question here, and it's a little bit about the family alongside this. We've been hearing a lot about your work and the energy it gives you. You have a twin brother. You have 2 kids, a son and a daughter, 30 and 32. You've got other family members above you, a father that just had his, 95th birthday yesterday? Yes. Also playing soccer, perhaps? But what's the role of family members in being involved in this effort and others? Is this a Raymond thing? Is this a thing that you pull in your kids in different ways? How do you pull people in alongside an effort that clearly gives you a great deal of joy?
Well, first of all, my father always taught us, there are 6 of us, we always have to give back to community where we do our business, which is very, very important. And we were raised that way. Now, however, every single child of my father has their own way of life, different, passion. And fortunately, my twin brother and I'm very, very lucky. He's my best friend, so I was born with my best friend. I'm also very lucky that my son became my best friend, so he was born with his best friend, right? And so I'm very, very fortunate that I have a twin brother who's passionate about football and my son who's also passionate about football. And once again, within our family, we have our foundation, whereas, we look at different projects. But then my father also allowed each child to come up with their own passion. So I started my football charity work 20 years ago as a social enterprise. It's now an NGO. I named it 人足社, naming after my father. It's like 手人足球社, TSL Football Foundation. And so I don't think there's a fixed formula. What I want to say is, again, the definition of strategy is an artful balance of ends and means, okay? So means are not only limited to financial means. You're talking about the family member, the different generation. I feel very, very often when we talk about charity work, we talk too much about financial resources. So if a certain family member, like myself within the family, so I say that I want to start something. It's like a startup, right? So I start to invest into my football charity work. And the result actually will grow by itself. So don't focus with the end result, focus with the quality of the work that you want to do. And after that, then there will be more support within the family and from the community. My two projects are being sponsored also by Hong Kong Jockey Club because we do the right thing. The Hong Kong government gave me a piece of land right outside of Lam Tin, MTR. I didn't apply because we do the right thing. So what I want to say is, if any of your family member has a real passion with addressing a certain issue within the community, and that person is willing to make that lifetime commitment and build a team, then go support that person. And that person can build. If that person is not interested at business, it can go the other route. But the family should support that person.
That's great. Well, thank you, Raymond. This is fantastic, and I really appreciate each of you spending some time here today. I love that idea of kind of ending with the point of looking inward. Where is that deep passion? Looking outward, seeing where there's opportunities in the world, and finding ways to marry them together. But thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you.